All right, welcome back. This is the Black Table, and if my prompter is telling me what it's supposed to be telling me, we're starting with some great tweets from Lord Lamba. Lord Lamba tweeted, if she is able to pay all her bills without your assistance, she cannot listen to you. Now, we're trying to explore a couple of angles here. There's another discussion we're going to have. Is the average Nigerian man scared of empowered women? If money dictates respect, what happens when she earns more forever? Should men adapt, or should women humble themselves regardless of income? All right, I'm going to start with somebody that seems to have a lot of the money, Mr. Stevenator.
Nah,
what are your thoughts
you already
on
said
this?
it's Quincy that has all the money, money and finance. I'm just.
Let's not start boxing match.
Yeah.
Which
No,
let's
lines
not
are you
start,
telling
please,
on
me
this
and-
So
show?
let's start with you. So she's making more money. Have you ever experienced a woman that, is making a decent amount?
Yeah, so I'm blessed to have a wife who is very industrious. She's got certain businesses that she's doing. She's a movie director. She earns her own money. And I'm proud to say that I marry one of the best, because there are times where, she supports the house. Like, I don't have to send money to the house. She does what she needs to do. If she needs to get stuff for the kids, she does that. She needs to get fuel in the gen in the house. She does that. So for me, I think it's perspective. It depends on how the woman sees you. If you both are in a relationship and then she respects you, she loves you, of course she'll be willing to do whatever it takes to make sure you're happy. It doesn't matter if she has money or not. There are women who don't have money, but then they have stuff to give the man besides money. Respect, speaking well about the man in public, defending the man.
And it tells a lot about how she was raised.
Exactly. It tells about.
So when you say that, obviously you still make more than she does.
So that's why I said it's perspective.
So
There are women
because if she made more than you, do you
Yeah.
think the relationship would still be the same?
Yeah, of course it would. Again, it depends on the woman. It depends on how she sees the man and how she values true relationship. But then, let's go back to the very beginning. From the very start, Adam and Eve. It was man to work, woman to support. So regardless of how much she makes, how influential she is, she still has to be under the man. Not just, please, that's not what I mean when I say under. You get what I mean? Yeah, before they say I'm saying under, like she still has to be in a home, and then she's supposed to support the man. Let's look at the richest woman in Africa. She's still married. Her marriage is fine. We've not heard the husband coming out to say, "Oh, my wife disrespects me." So I just think it's the Gen Z
And it
influence.
depends on the woman.
Yeah.
So let's bring in someone that's closer to the Gen Z generation, Danny Dawson.
What makes you think I'm closer?
Out of all of us here, you're closer to the Gen Z generation.
Why do you think so?
Can you be with a woman that makes more than you? And what are your thoughts?
That makes more than me. No, I can't. I think I'm a typical African man, and I think if you look at the dynamics of African men, you're thought to be the providers, and you're thought to be the protectors. And I'm not sure how much of protection you can do when you're not earning as much as your wife is earning. I think it's only. I would attribute it mostly to what we were taught growing up. I don't think the Western world would agree with me, because they don't exactly think, or they're not bothered about who is earning more. They're more about, building the family and ensuring that things are just, proper for both the dad, the mom, and the kids. But as an African man, you want to be able to take charge of the family, and taking charge of the family means you're providing the most. And
So if she's making
by
more than you,
extension-
you can't have a woman make more than you.
Well, things can change, but at the moment, no.
All right.
Me, I'll be a stay-home dad. Man. I don't have a problem with that.
Now, I think I
And
know
I'm a Yoruba man, by the way.
I think I know Quincy's response, but I want to hear it from his mouth. Quincy, your thoughts?
You would know.
Yeah,
You would know.
I would.
It's simple. But before I touch on that point, so there are too many variables to this, right? One would be the kind of man, right? The kind of man now has multiple branches, right? They're the lazy men. They're the men that work hard, right? I think you would appreciate if your wife was earning a whole lot of money if you were working really hard for yours as well.
Yeah.
Typically, right? There's that angle. Then there's the other side to it, which is some women, right? They don't understand they don't understand the concept of being in certain positions. They've never had to be in those positions, so they misbehave, right? So we're not going to totally negate the understanding of certain men that say women misbehave when they make more. No, some women misbehave fantastically, if I may.
Yeah.
Right? There's that angle. But coming to me, right, bro, I'm tearing down things to walk, to earn every kobo.
Right.
Dude, I want my woman to be rich. And the other part of knowing the kind of man now comes to, even as a person, if my friend earns $1 million today, I would celebrate. It's just natural. I don't know, but I realize that, right? If my friend earns $1 million, you hit a jackpot today, I'll celebrate your stuff like it was mine.
Like it was mine.
I'm not asking you for jack, right? So if I can do that to someone else outside, bruv, my wife, that's the only thing I will post. I will post her like crazy. Now, the other part would be this. Working on yourself is very important. Now speaking to women, right? Working on yourself is very important, right? To the point where being at a level where you are more in control financially, or rather you make more, let's just say you make more financially than your husband, does not give room for certain things.
Certain
right?
disrespect.
Exactly.
I was gonna get to that.
A guy got married. I'll give you just a quick story. A guy got married. Mans is living in a 3-bedroom apartment somewhere in like Yaba. Gets married to this babe. Babe owns a house. She's owned the house for about 4 years, living in like Lekki Phase 1. And man says she needs to move out of the house and come live with him in Yaba. To me, it makes absolutely no goddamn sense.
No sense, bro. I was gonna say that.
If you're a hardworking man trying to make it, right, you know that it makes no goddamn sense. Now, take, for instance, maybe you live in the UK or the US where you have to pay mortgage and all of that stuff. Now, you can get in there and start handling the mortgage if you really want to be the man. You know, it is scratch your belly.
things.
You see, there are other ways to step in. And then, last but not the least, men, understand this. Because you're dating a woman or because you're with a particular woman, right, does not mean you still don't have to go through the routine of setting yourself. Setting yourself in this case is this. If I meet a random guy that's gang and I meet a random guy that's Stevenator and Cole, right, I would place myself a certain way. I want to appear a certain way. I'm not trying to lord over. I'm just, I'm a good person. This is who I am. You need to do that in your relationship and don't just randomly expect that, the title of the head will be given to you. Actions need to follow. Let it be known that
you
if
need
Madam
to act like the person that deserves the respect that you're supposed to
And
get.
it flows effortlessly.
So the issue I would say from my end on Lamba's tweet is that kind of message targets the insecurity in some men that will make men strive for women who are less.
Yeah.
You get me? That means you might see a woman, but because your standard is, I don't want somebody that's up to a certain level. I want somebody that is kind of lesser than me. So that's what you would go for.
Not really. I'm not trying to defend him, but I think the view is very straight. Every man knows this. Make we no lie. It's a lot easier with someone that's financially, not in your level financially. Things are a lot easier. So things move a lot faster. Things move a lot faster. Things a lot easier. Wait now. It's true. Now real life, right? It's true. Right?
It flows better.
Yes.
But let me tell you something.
And then you don't have to strive for control or try to be a certain way to get a certain
but
thing
to be
done.
honest,
So that's what he's speaking from. His peace of mind.
Yeah, but at the same time,
sort.
it would shock you that there are women who don't even have up to 100,000 in their account. They've got guts to, how will I even put it? They've got guts, they've got demands, they've got the level of disrespect that a woman who controls billions does not have.
now.
So that's why your point is very valid when you said it depends on the woman and the kind of woman she is. I'm married and I'm sure my wife is almost like your wife. There's no amount of money my wife would make today that would change the way she treats me.
Do you think it's a function of how you've placed yourself?
It's how I've it's how I've placed myself and how she is, the kind of person she is.
Exactly.
Bro, listen to this.
The truth is here, I would say this here, people think that money change people. It doesn't. What it does is that it amplifies what you already have. If you have bad character and you are just listening to people because you don't have money, the moment you have money,
That bad character would
it
shine.
will pop
It
out.
amplifies.
Before we
And
wrap
then,
up, I want to hear more of what Dami says, because Dami was standing on, that African thing that he has to make sure that he's always the one in charge, providing and having all the ends.
There's a bit of me providing, but it's a bit of her supporting what I'm providing, to ensure that we have a good family. I'm not saying that I'll outrightly, or intentionally go for a woman that earns less than me. I'm just saying there's a pride in earning more than your wife.
Yeah.
As a typical African man. And I said again, I'm a Yoruba man, and just based off experience and background and things I've seen and have, heard over the years, not just from my dad, but from those before my dad, it is just a natural flow. It's just the status quo, like this is what it should be. You as the man should earn more than the woman. But if she earns more, it's not a problem. It doesn't change anything. But ideally, in your mind, in your head, I'm not saying you're meeting someone for the first time and you're like, oh, how much do you earn? You earn 1 billion. Oh, I earn 100 million. I'm sorry, we can't be together. That's not the picture I'm painting.
Yeah.
I'm just like, the onus is on you to work harder to ensure that you're earning as much as she's earning. Maybe just like 1,000 more, or even 100 naira more. All
right. Well said. Thank you for clearing that. Now let's move on from women making money to another controversy. Super Eagles, ex-Super Eagles star Brownie Day says that footballers who go broke after retirement deserve jail time. His point, he says many athletes make fortunes but fail to plan wisely.
I agree.
Now we're going to look into this. Should the NFF, clubs, or even government mandate pension retirement schemes for players? Are players victims of their baller lifestyle or of a system that doesn't protect them when the spotlight fades? I totally disagree
100%.
with this statement.
Because
100%. If you're going to apply this to athletes, I love the fact that Steven Ater is here. I'll apply this to artists as well.
Yeah.
Artists that see a big paycheck, that make millions, and at the end of the day, 10 years after their career, they're in
I'm
shambles.
sorry, gang, but I disagree with you.
So let's
It's not
start
the same.
let's start with Quincy Jones.
Let me just.
So what do you think about
let me
his statement
touch on-
about footballers going to jail for being broke after retirement?
Footballers and artists are different. An artist would have to put down, if he makes $300,000, he might have to put down another $150,000 just to make the next record work, right? You agree?
100%.
A footballer does not. Now, for the question is, should we implement some form of pension and retirement fund and stuff? I believe that is already there, right? I don't know about the NFF, but I think it's already there in already established clubs, because these
Established
are
clubs.
genuine employments,
Right.
You would take tax, all of that, you take pensions and the whole 9 yards. The question here now is, how much is the pension exactly?
That's right.
Right. I'm sorry. We need to come to a realistic point, which is, if I'm playing at a top flight football club, I'm playing in Barcelona. Imagine, let me even be on the bench. I'm playing in Barcelona. What do you expect me to do? Be living in Akuonjo type of area in Spain? No. There's a lifestyle to, meet up to. There's certain perks or certain things that you must have around you to make your life easy. You can't be bothering about your living situation, driving situation, and a couple of all these messy, little things when your main focus is to be as fit as possible mentally and physically, right? So that statement, I understand where it's coming from or where the question led, but it is absolutely wrong. There are too many factors and variables that already point to say, look, this is what this is, this is what this is, this is what this might be. Now, let's now move to the other side of this thing, which is, we're talking about Nigerians now, which is the set of people around these athletes, footballers, superstars. Bruv, I'm sorry, a lot of them don't have the best. But unfortunately, the selection process is usually governed by how I was or who was with me before I blew up, right?
Your day ones.
Yeah, my day ones, quote unquote. But did my day ones do the job in reference to earning a spot to be around me? right?
Yeah.
You say, oh, my guy now, he studied at banking and finance for school, so he should be my financial advisor because I knew him back then and he always reached out when I was doing tryouts. No, man. You need to get the right people around
The
you.
right professionals.
They're scamming these guys on a daily basis.
Right.
So that
Right.
means it still boils down to personal decisions.
No,
Because
so not entirely.
So the thing is here, when you play for top flight football, obviously you know someday your career is going to come to an end.
Yeah.
What do you do with all the monies that come in? Of course, I agree with you. I mean, you can't be playing for Barcelona and be living in a low life area. Of course, you have to live somewhere very expensive and safe. But then there are financial managers. There are people who are supposed to help you manage your funds. It's fast when you're on the top because things just go pa 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 pa, and you're trying to keep fit. You're trying to stay ahead of your game and what have you. Your finance is not what you're thinking about. I think the right thing to do at times like that is get a proper financial manager, not depending on the club, because the club tomorrow they might say, oh, they don't want you no more.
Of course.
Right.
And
It's
then,
a job.
yeah, it's a job. So I think that where he's coming from is actually talking to the players themselves.
Yeah.
If you're making so much money, if you're making 100 euros, spend all the 80 euros and keep 20 euros for yourself. Because at the end of the day, my bro, it's hard. It's hard to calm down. You see, it's better for someone who's never been rich before to maintain poverty and live the lifestyle. But if you've been rich before and then you come, oh my goodness, it's terrible. So I think that the players should make it an individual effort to make sure they plan their financial lives and not depend on the club or depend on
So
other
that
people
was
to
the
help them.
angle why I compared them to artists in the first place, because this should be applicable to people that make a certain amount of money
Yes.
and are not going to be there always.
Yes.
They're not going to be on top always. So
Let's
if you're
take,
making
sorry, just to cut you short, let's take Diogo Jota for an example. The guy that died
Yeah,
shortly.
Liverpool.
Liverpool said they're going to pay the remaining of his salary. His contract is not expired, it expires. Until the contract expires, they are going to pay the
Continue to
family
pay,
the salary. That is out of good faith. Now, they were very specific. They said when the contract ends, they stop paying. So imagine if he doesn't make provision for his family.
Yeah.
You get me? So I think it's a personal decision.
It's a
If
personal
when you're
decision.
making money, you got to keep some for rainy days.
So it applies to people that make money.
Right.
What are your thoughts, Dan?
I think it's possible for Brown to say this. He's probably saving some money and he's doing good.
Yeah.
And he's just not excited with how his colleagues, I'm guessing mostly Nigerians, who have gotten the chance to play outside Nigeria and earn some good money. He's not excited with how they ended up, most of them.
Yeah.
And he's saying that I can do it, then you can also do it.
Yeah.
And if you come out later and you're like, oh, you need the government to support you or this to happen, this to happen. I didn't have the government support. I got some money, I was able to save some and keep some, you know. So if I can do it, you can do it. That's basically what he's saying, I think, yeah.
Which goes to what you said as well. It's based on your own personal preference and your lifestyle.
Right.
Look at the Falcons that the president gave them that crazy amount, 100,000 US dollars.
Yeah.
So nobody expects them to go broke after that.
Yeah.
Right.
So generally, when you live that kind of life, you know, you should be expected to make something of yourself.
And you know, it's crazy that the more money you make, the more tax you pay.
Yeah.
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 So
Before we wrap up, Quincy has something on his mind.
I'm also going to touch on something. I think we're losing track of core realities, right? Core reality dictates that the typical average lifespan of a footballer would be from, let's hope that they start as early as possible, let's say 20, worst case scenario, 20 to 35. So it's 15 years, right?
Yeah.
So in those 15 years, I'm supposed to earn, save, and prepare for rainy days. I retire at 36, right? Typically, average would be 36. I retire at 36, and then, bro, I don't know if you know this. In football, we say that guy is super old. Real life, that's a young boy,
yeah.
right? Then there is a whole new 35 years for him to live his life, right? Now there's a ton of these monies. He has to invest, do some things,
Right.
and a couple of other things. Now that is where reality kicks in. Because during the course of earning the money, he must have tried to invest in different things. And I don't know if you know how investments work. Some of them are garbage. Quite a lot works out, you know? So saying this to say that a lot of them have, I know a couple people that have heard about investments that they made that was supposed to go well, right? But we know in the public now that they're broke. No one knows the backstory. So I'm trying to paint the realistic part of this. Just because he work for you, no me say he go work for everybody.
Exactly.
The real
Yeah.
estate
Yeah, so-
that you
Yep.
put your money in that worked for you
Yep.
might not work for someone else.
Yep.
True.
Yeah.
So, don't try to
Yeah.
judge everyone
I
like they're
get you,
not planning for their
but,
future.
But there's a bare minimum that people just have expectations.
Yeah, bare
That
minimum
need
is
to always be
eating
there.
and
Yeah.
feeling.
Yeah.
They're living their
They're
lives.
just, you know,
It will
so
always be there.
it's the lifestyle.
Yes.
You choose a certain lifestyle.
Yes.
All right, we're going to take a break, moving away from Lamba, moving away from football. We're going to fill up our glasses. You should do the same at home. When we come back, the Black Table continues. Stay tuned.